Hey kinesiology students, this is Coach Harvey. Today I'm going to show you how to use a spreadsheet to complete the nutrition plan part of your project. Now, spreadsheets are great for organizing information and doing calculations, so they take a lot of the workload off us when doing this project. There's two main applications people use. One is Microsoft Excel, the other is Google Sheets. Both have their pros and cons, but today I'm going to be showing you Google Sheets, which is fairly easy to learn and also allows you to collaborate with your group members. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is open Drive and start a new Google Sheet. And the first thing that I like to do is rename the file. That way we know exactly what this file is and who it's for. So I'm going to call this Kristen's Swimming Diet Plan. So we'll be making a diet plan for a high school swimmer. Next, we want to set up all of our column headings. So we're going to have our plan organized into meals. Then we need each of our food items. Then the quantities of each food item. And the amounts of calories, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now I'm going to do a little bit of formatting with this row. So first thing I'm going to do is make all the words bold. I'm also going to freeze the row. And what that means is that when I scroll up and down, I'll be able to see this row no matter where I am on the spreadsheet. For the 3 energy nutrients, I'm also going to add in the unit for each of these, which is grams. So that little G just indicates that all of the numbers that I'll be plugging in here will be grams. So now we're ready to start building our nutrition plan. And what we need here is foods and information about those foods. So there's several resources you can use, like nutritiondata.com, or apps like Nutritionix or MyFitnessPal. There's a lot of websites out there that will give you nutrition information, but if you've made a basic plan and listed out all the foods that your athlete's going to eat, you would simply go to one of these sites and start to look up all the nutrition information as well as the quantities you want to give them. So I've laid out a simple breakfast meal for my swimmer, and I'm going to just start inputting all the information for each of the foods into my plan. I've included so far is breakfast, and we would want to continue adding more meals to make it a complete day. But I'm going to go ahead and show you here how to set up your totals at the bottom of each column. So I'm going to just type in the word totals here. And then what I want to do with each of these values, the calories, the carbs, fats, and proteins, is add up the totals for what I have so far. So to do that, rather than add these manually, I'm going to use a function. This is one of the beauty of spreadsheets, is that it will do math for us. I want the sum function to go here at the bottom of all of the calories. Now that cursor blinking is saying it needs to know what to add. So I'm going to tell it to add all of the numbers here in these boxes, or what they call cells on a spreadsheet. So I highlight by dragging, clicking and dragging all of those numbers, and then you can see is identifying those cells by letter and number, D2 to D5. When I hit enter on my keyboard, you'll see that it automatically now will add all those numbers in that column. I want to do the same thing here for my carbohydrates, and I could easily go up here and enter that same sum function and click and drag all those, but there's an easy way to copy this. Click on the cell that has the total number of calories, then roll your mouse over the little blue dot in the lower right-hand corner until your cursor changes to a crosshair. Once it changes, click on that dot, hold down the mouse while you drag. I'm going to go all the way over to the proteins column, then release the mouse button, and look at what it does. It copies that formula so that now all my carbohydrates are being added up, my fats, and all the proteins. So it copied that function to each of those. Now, just to make this stand out, I'm going to make this row bold. Then I'm going to add in my calculated calories. Now, calculated calories is where we take the values from each of these three nutrients and we multiply them by their conversion factors, 4, 9, and 4, for carbs, fat, protein, to calculate how many calories come from each. So I'm just going to type into this box, calculated calories. Okay, leave that cell empty. Now what I want to do is take the total number of carbs and multiply by 4 to get the number of calories from carbs. This function I'm going to have to enter manually. So on my keyboard, I'm going to press the equals sign. Then I'm going to click on this cell that includes my total grams of carbohydrates. I'm going to type in the asterisk, which is the symbol for multiply. That's usually your Shift 8 key. Then the number 4. And when I hit enter, you'll see that it's taking that grams of carbohydrates, multiplying by 4, and giving me the calories from carbohydrates. I'm going to do the same thing here for fat, except remember we multiply fat by 9. So again, type equals, click on the cell that has your grams of fat, type asterisk, and then 9, enter, and there's my formula calculating calories from fat. And I'll do the same thing lastly for the proteins. And again, the proteins, you multiply the grams by 4 to get the calories. Now what I want to do is add up the total calculated calories. Oops, we forgot that word here, so we'll add that in. Make that column just a little bigger. So here I want a sum function again to add up the three numbers that we see to the right. So I'm going to click on that cell, go to my function menu, click sum again, and this time I'm going to drag the three numbers of my calculated calories, and there you see the total. Now you'll notice that that's a little different than the totals from the label. And in class we talked about how the number of calories you calculate can be different because this is including things like fiber and maybe some fats or other nutrients that aren't digested for calories. And so that usually is a little bit higher. But we're going to go ahead and use this now for the last piece of information, which is our calorie ratio. Now, calorie ratio, if you remember, is the percents of calories that come from carbs, fats, and proteins. So to do that, I'm going to type in one last set of functions here. Below my carbs, I'm going to type equals, take the calories from carbs, and press the divide symbol, which is your /, usually the lower right-hand corner of your keyboard, and then click on that calculated calories total, hit enter, and you'll see there it's dividing that 776 by 1069. I'm going to do the same thing for each of the others. Oops. Okay. And you'll notice that we have decimals. Well, what we want to see is percentages. And there's an easy way to convert these decimals into percent. We're just going to highlight each of those cells there and go up to our menu, and there's a symbol that says format as percent. You can also get here from the format menu, but we're going to just use this quick button there and convert those to percent. And there it is. Now, we don't necessarily need those decimals either. So there's another button just next to the percent button that will decrease our decimal places. So we're going to hit that a couple times, and there we have percents. And that's the percent of calories that are coming from carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Lastly, I'll just take each of these numbers or rows and make them bold just so they stand out a little more. And there, I'm done. I would just need to add in the other meals throughout the day, and that's easy. If I click on this row and say insert a row above, I can easily add in a snack, for example. If, let's say, our athlete eats a granola bar, and we can type in the amounts for our bar. And what you'll notice is that as I was typing those numbers in, all these values at the bottom were automatically updating. So this total is now including all the nutrients I added in for the bar. I can add in more rows, again, by going to the insert row above or below. Since I want to put something below my snack, I'll say insert row below. And all of these should automatically update. As soon as I start typing numbers in, everything changes. Now, if you're following the option to make 2 days in your plan, the next thing you'd want to do is rename this sheet to something like workout or practice day, and then duplicate it so that you have a second sheet. And the second sheet you'll use for day 2. So I'm going to say that this is the day of my athlete's swim meet. And I'm going to go ahead and delete all of the items from this, because remember, day 2 should be different from day 1. A good nutrition plan always has variety. But we've got our total set up here, and if we start adding numbers in just kind of randomly, you will see that all of our totals and values at the bottom do change. So you would build day 2 with different foods there. All right, hope that helps, and you're able to make a great nutrition plan for your athlete. See you later.